Back, Mick, home for Sports Analyst. Dave Patrick, hanging out today. Talking lots of different items. RJ Young, OUinsider.com. Fight me. Find him on Twitter as well. Lots to cover as we continue to recap, if you will, the spring game. What did you think of look, obviously the deepest position in the program is the receiver position. CeeDee Lamb didn't take a ton of snaps. What did you see from some of the other down-the-line guys and the freshmen as well? What did you think?
They look good. Theo Weiss, Trajan Bridges, Austin Stogner, Jaden Hazelwood. They look good. I mean, we knew this from the offense, though. Kennedy Brooks looked good. You didn't see any Trey Sermon either, but I'm sure that look, the thing about Oklahoma today is, can you get a defense that can match the offense? Can the offense be proud of the defense? And then what do you have at defensive tackle? That's my issue right now. You got Neville Gallimore. You hope you have Q Overton. You think Dylan Famatal can come on, and then what? Are you going to rely on Troy James? Are you going to rely on Zacchaeus? Are you going to rely on McKinney? I mean, look. I think that everyone seems to get and understand that what's going on the defensive line is worrying, in that Ron Tatum's in the transfer portal, right? Derek Green, he's committed to Vanderbilt. Tyrese Lott decided he no longer wants to be with the program. And now, what are you going to do on the defensive tackle spot? Not necessarily defensive end, because you got like 5 edge rushers coming in. I think they have an answer there.
Speaking of which, gosh, I had my notes. I had to kind of jump back and forth here for a minute. OU loses. I say loses. They haven't lost them yet. They had a young linebacker enter the transfer portal. Gosh, I'll find it in a second. I'm struggling today, Dave.
Well, you look for that on.
Yeah.
RJ, I have to ask you, who were you being interviewed by when they asked you about LSU in Texas?
Barrett Sally and Brad Hopkins on Sirius College Radio. Subscription radio.
That was, if you haven't seen, go to RJ's Twitter feed.
It's on the YouTube channel too, man. Like it's there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You handled it very well. And even after you told them you covered OU, then they went to Texas.
Yeah,
right?
He was having a bad day. I think we've all been there, and you ask a wrong question, but the funny part to me at least, was the doubling down. You asked about Jimbo, and then he came back with Sam Ellinger.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then, his co-host said strike 2. And I was just, I lost it. I couldn't help it. He said strike 2. Getting no help from his buddy.
Well, all right. What did you think of Hurts throwing the ball?
I mean, what is there to really look at other than, he threw some passes down the sideline that looked pretty good. He got a nice one early off his back foot to hit Trajan Bridges. Now Trajan Bridges is going up against Robert Charlton, and I don't know how much Division I football during the fall Robert Charlton's going to play, but he's a track star. I saw what I needed to see, but also the offense is just going to look differently. Not because it's going to be a different system, but because you're going to tailor it to what Jalen Hurts does well. And I thought you saw what he's going to be with the first play from scrimmage. He rolled to his right on a naked boot. He found somebody open. He completed a pass. He had an option to run. That's what he's good at, right? And I think people are going to ding him because they'll say he makes a read and he goes. Well, they said the same thing about Kyler Murray. And then Kyler Murray became one of the best precision passers in college football history. I think he got time. I think neither Kyler Murray nor Austin Kendall looked good at the spring game last year. Tanner Mordecai didn't look great. Jalen Hurts showed you who he is, but more than that, I was more interested in how did he conduct himself on the sideline. He's the leader and the captain of that group because they want him to be. Not necessarily because he's walked in there and earned it, but there's a big difference between walking in and earning it in the way that Kenneth Mann shocked us all being voted a captain. They want that guy to lead them. And there's good reason for that. He's won a national championship. He's an outstanding quarterback. They know that with him, they have an opportunity to get back to a third straight college football playoff in the way that they might not feel that way about Tanner Mordecai.
Oh, you did pick up 2 commitments. So just from the spring activities, one, Cody Jackson, who's the 21 commit, a wide receiver. OU never has trouble getting offensive talent. They picked up a defensive player, Dante Manning, from Kansas City, Missouri, a defensive back. I know, look, OU has been looking at or trying to really covet the bigger defensive back. Manning listed at 6'1", 175. Is that the lower end of the bigger defensive back brain there?
I think so, but also find me some 6'4" defensive backs. You know, there's
those,
one
those
6
guys
foot
for wide receivers are usually
right,
like
and now there's a 6'3" defensive back, a cornerback that they're in on, has OU high on his list, but he's one of the only of his kind, and he's got a wingspan that's like 6'6". His name is Ryan Watts. That's who I'm talking about. But Ryan Watts also has offers from everybody else, and you had him on campus for a visit. And they got some other guys that they want to go after, but I just look at him committing at 6'1", 175, and I'm saying, what's the major difference between Dante Manning and Darian Green-Warren? And I think the major difference is Alex Grinch decided that he wanted a guy that he saw and he evaluated in a way that he hasn't seen or evaluated DGW. And that guy's 6 foot, 175, 180. And it just feels kind of icky sometimes when we're talking about this because we're talking about an inch. Really?
Yeah.
We're making a Kyler Murray argument out of what it means to play cornerback at OU when really they flat sucked last year at defensive back. So anybody that wants to come in here and play defensive back, you should not be turning down anything but your collar. So we will see if this pays dividends, and you won't know with a guy like Dante Manning until he gets here in a year, and you got to use what you got. So, I mean, yeah, he's on the lower end of what they want, but I don't know that he's on the lower end of what they can get, if that makes sense.
But, all right, so they've got 5 guys, secondary guys coming in the summer. Of those, who do you think could make an impact early?
You got 5. I got 4. I got Ty DeArmond. I got Jeremiah Cradell. I got Jaden Davis. I got Woody Washington. Who am I missing?
Jamal Morris.
Jamal Morris is already here, early enrollee.
Oh, okay.
He played in the spring game. He looked really good. Of those guys coming in, I think the best opportunity is going to be one, Jeremiah Cradell, but the way that Grinch is talking about Delarian Turner-Yell is kind of a hammer back there, and Pat Fields just being cerebral about the game and the way that Buki started the game, no matter what you think, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher for the safeties to get some run. Jamal Morris already here, so he's probably got the best shot at getting some run at safety. I think Woody Washington and Jaden Davis have an opportunity to play a lot of snaps, if not take a job away from a guy like Trey Brown or even Parnell Motley, in that those dudes absolutely were shut down cover corners. Jaden Davis can play some nickel, and so he's got some flexibility and some versatility. But Woody Washington was the number 1 player coming out of Tennessee. That dude could absolutely play. He could return punts for you, and he was a no-fly zone. So if he gets in here and he shows what he can do, I would expect to see a lot out of him. He's kind of the sleeper in the secondary for me. Then there's a lot of people that will really like Ty DeArmond because that dude really can play any position you want him to play. And he's also a very smart and very big dude. I mean, it's going to be a lot of moving and shaking over the summer and in the preseason.
It took some time for me to find, but I'm going to kill the name as I always do. K'Jakyre Daley is the player who's entered the transfer portal. Doesn't mean he's leaving, but obviously exploring outside options. Really, again, looking at some stuff or reading stuff about him was a try-hard edge rusher, good motor guy.
Patrick just got to get a try-hard.
He's a try-hard. He's
just got to... Okay.
You don't like try-hard?
No, that's a derogatory term where I'm from, brother.
It is? Okay. Well,
yeah, it's try-hards, lunch pail kind of guy.
Watching clips of him, and he's out of the play, but all of a sudden, you see out of nowhere, he comes and lights the guy up.
Hey, look, I'm not really. I'm just laughing because I'd expect try hard to come out of you. That's all.
I said high motor. That's a compliment.
Oh man, yeah, it can be. I just don't think that we talk about really talented football players as being high motor guys, or as much as we might say them being just absolute maulers or war daddies or whatever it is you want to throw in there.
Sure.
What I'm saying is, when you say try hard, I'm coming from a gamer culture where you get really sweaty with your hands and you're trying to beat everybody because it's really intense to you. So that's what you mean when you say try hard to me. So that's why I was laughing.
Well, it's the guy who battles, who does, we've seen a bunch of 5-star guys who get caught in the wash, if you know what I mean, too. So
no, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're right. No, but look, that's an outside linebacker in this defense. You're not necessarily going to miss him. I hate to say that about any of the kids, but that's what it is. You're kind of loaded at that position. You're loaded at that position the way you want to be loaded at defensive tackle, because if we start going down the list of guys that play outside linebacker, the guys that could go play and rush in, we can get to 7 names really quick between the guys that are on campus and the guys that are going to be here in the summer.
Is Levi Draper still around?
Yeah, he's still around. He didn't play. He's dinged up. there's a lot of people, myself included, that want to see what Levi Draper looks like in this defense, especially since he and Kenneth Murray Jr. are very tight. I expected them to be 1-2, the Mike and the Will this year, but hey, man, you got guys showing up. You know, even with Caleb Kelly going down, Deshaun White's like, all right, cool, my job. And then you got Brian Meade saying, my job. And now we haven't heard much about Levi Draper. And as Austin Chadwick alluded to on the show last week, he's like, hey, that dude might end up at 11th at Harvard. I don't necessarily think so. I think he was a big reason for why they put together the 2017 class that was so good. And I think he sincerely wants to shine as a linebacker here on this defense. But it is an uphill battle because, frankly, they just like guys more than they like him, at least right now. And the spring is the spring, and everything changes in the preseason. So we'll have to wait and see.
I'm going to try hard and get through this break right here. Coming up on the other side. RJ, good stuff, man. We'll chat Thursday.
Thanks, RJ.
All right, fellas. Talk to you.
Good stuff.